They told you World War II was won in the air by Spitfires and Mustangs. They lied. The real war happened in test hangars and secret workshops where engineers built propeller designs so wild they terrified their own pilots. These planes flew, crashed, and vanished before anyone could decide if they were genius or madness. 10 prototypes, 10 radical ideas. Not one made it to combat. Here's what they tried to build while the world burned. Number 10. The Bugatti Model 100P, June 1940. German tanks rolled toward Paris, and Ettore Bugatti faced a choice. Let the Nazis seize his masterwork or hide it in a barn and pray. He chose the barn. His team tore apart the unfinished racer, hauled the pieces through panicked streets, and buried the most advanced dual propeller design anyone had seen. Empty weight? 1,400 kilograms. Balsa wood core wrapped in composite skin. Twin engines mounted mid-fuselage driving counter-rotating propellers through a single shaft. On paper, this thing screamed efficiency. In reality, it never flew. Not once. The war ended. Bugatti died. The prototype sat in that barn for decades until enthusiasts built a replica in 2016. That replica lasted 3 flights before it crashed. The original design might have changed air racing forever. We'll never know. Number 9. The Vought V-173 Flying Pancake, November 23, 1942. Test pilot Boone Guyton climbed into what looked like someone had microwaved a fighter plane. Flat circular body. Propellers mounted at the wingtips. The whole airframe shaped like someone's terrible joke, except it flew, and it kept flying. Dozens of test flights proved the concept worked, that you could build a disc-shaped aircraft that actually stayed airborne. The Navy got excited. They ordered an all-metal combat version, the XF-5U1, with more power and heavier armor. That one never left the ground. Years of taxi tests, engine tweaks, weight adjustments. Nothing worked. By 1947, jets had already made the whole concept obsolete. They scrapped both prototypes. The wooden proof of concept that actually flew and the metal fighter that never would. Gone. Number 8. The Fisher P-75 Eagle, November 17, 1943. Here's an idea. Take the wings from a Mustang, the tail from a Corsair, the landing gear from a Dauntless, bolt them all together, and call it a fighter. That was the Eagle. A parts bin special built to save manufacturing time. 6-bladed contra-rotating propeller up front. Cockpit mounted so far back the pilot could barely see over the nose. First flight went fine. Then the problem started. Engine overheating, control issues, performance numbers that looked worse than the planes it borrowed parts from. The Army ordered 2,500 of them anyway. Production models started rolling out in 1944, and every single one flew like a brick with anger issues. By the time they canceled the program, they'd wasted millions on a plane that couldn't outfight anything the Japanese or Germans fielded. Classic wartime procurement disaster. Think about that for a second. They built an entire production run before testing proved the concept worked. How does that even happen? Number 7. The Curtiss-Wright XP-55 Ascender, July 19, 1943. Pusher configuration, canard layout, swept wings. Test pilot Harvey Gray took it up and immediately knew something felt wrong. The plane flew tail first with the engine behind the cockpit and the control surfaces up front. Every aerodynamic instinct pilots trusted got flipped backward. November 15, 1943. Gray climbed to 16,000 feet for a stall test. The Ascender did exactly what he asked. It stalled. Then it flipped onto its back and went into an uncontrolled tumble. Gray bailed out and fell 2 miles before his chute opened. He lived. The prototype became a smoking crater. They built 2 more. Both flew. Neither impressed anyone enough to justify production. The design was too radical, the handling too tricky, and by 1944, conventional fighters were already winning the war. Number 6. The Northrop XP-56 Black Bullet, September 6, 1943. All magnesium airframe, no tail, swept wings, pusher propeller. Pilot John Myers took it up from Muroc Dry Lake and discovered Northrop had built the most unstable aircraft anyone had ever tried to fly. It pitched, yawed, and rolled without warning. Myers wrestled it back to the ground in one piece. October 8, 1943. During high-speed taxi tests, a tire blew. The Black Bullet cartwheeled across the lake bed and disintegrated. Myers walked away with bruises. The magnesium structure shattered like glass. They built a second prototype with different engines and revised controls. It flew worse than the first. The program died in 1944. Northrop learned what didn't work and applied those lessons to later designs. That knowledge cost one wrecked prototype and nearly cost Myers his life. If this is hitting different, take a second to hit like. It helps the algorithm show this to more people who need to see it. Number 5. The Vultee XP-54 Swoose Goose. January 15, 1943. Twin boom layout, pusher engine, pressurized cockpit. And here's the part that made test pilot Frank Davis question his career choices. The entire nose section could pivot 6 degrees vertically. The pilot sat in a moving cockpit that tilted up and down to aim the 37mm cannons mounted in the nose. In theory, this gave the pilot a gun platform that tracked targets while the airframe stayed level. In practice, it added weight, complexity, and a failure point that could trap the pilot inside a burning plane. Davis flew the first test and reported the controls felt mushy. The engine overheated. The pressurization system leaked. The pivoting nose added so much drag that performance numbers fell below what a standard P-51 could achieve. Vultee built 2 prototypes. Neither convinced the Army the concept was worth mass production. The war moved on. The Swoose Goose became a footnote. Number 4. The Arsenal VB-10. July 7, 1945. France wanted a heavy interceptor that could chase down German bombers and high-altitude reconnaissance planes. They got the VB-10. Twin engines mounted in line, one behind the other, both driving contra-rotating propellers through extension shafts. Pilot Modeste Vonner took it up and discovered the French had built something genuinely fast and genuinely dangerous. January 10, 1948. The second prototype caught fire over southern Paris when the rear engine over-revved. Pilot Pierre Decroux bailed out with severe burns. The wreckage came down in a residential area. September 21, 1948. Third crash. Pilot Henri Cochelin died when his VB-10 came apart during a test flight. The French government canceled the production contract the same day. 4 prototypes built. 2 crashed fatally. The design worked on paper. In the air, it killed the people who flew it. Number 3. The Martin Baker MB-5. May 23, 1944. 6 blades. Contra-rotating propeller. British engineering taken to its logical conclusion. Test pilot Alan Coleman took it up from Chalgrove Airfield and hit 460 miles per hour in level flight. That made the MB-5 one of the fastest piston-engine fighters anyone had ever built. It handled beautifully. Performance numbers beat the Spitfire, the Mustang, and every other Allied fighter in service. The RAF looked at the test data and said no. Jets were coming. The Meteor was already flying. Why invest in a piston fighter when turbines promised twice the speed? The timing killed it. If the MB-5 had been ready 2 years earlier, it might have become Britain's primary fighter. Instead, it became a museum piece. 1 prototype survived. You can still see it today. The fastest piston fighter Britain never used. Number 2. The Kyushu J7W Shinden. August 3, 1945. The Japanese Navy ordered it into mass production at 150 planes per month before Captain Masayoshi Tsuruno ever took it off the ground. Canard layout, pusher configuration, rear-mounted propeller. The Shinden was supposed to intercept B-29 bombers at high altitude and tear them apart with nose-mounted 30mm cannons. Tsuruno completed the first flight, then a second, then a third. Total airtime? 45 minutes. August 15, 1945. Japan surrendered. The Shinden program ended with 3 test flights and 0 combat missions. The Navy had bet everything on a radical design they'd never proven. Production facilities stood ready to build hundreds. None of it mattered. The war ended before anyone could find out if the Shinden could actually fight. Sound familiar? Desperation makes terrible engineering decisions. Number 1. The Dornier Do 335 Pfeil. October 26, 1943. Push-pull configuration. 1 propeller in the nose, 1 in the tail. Hans Dieterl took the first prototype up and reported it flew faster than anything Germany had fielded. Then someone asked the obvious question: how does the pilot eject without getting chopped to pieces by the rear propeller? Dornier's answer? Explosive bolts. Before ejection, the pilot triggered charges that blew off the tail fin and the rear propeller. Then compressed air cylinders at 120 bar pressure fired the pilot clear of the airframe. It was the first operational ejection seat system anyone installed in a combat aircraft. The Do 335 worked. It flew. It was fast, stable, and heavily armed. And it never saw combat. Not once. Some sources claim a French ace chased one. There's no record of it, no gun camera footage, no combat reports. Germany built 37 prototypes and pre-production models. Allied bombing destroyed the factories before mass production started. The ejection seat technology survived. Dornier's engineers defected to the West and brought the blueprints with them. That system evolved into the modern seats that save pilots today. The plane vanished. The safety concept it pioneered became standard. That's the whole story. 10 designs, 10 gambles. Not one made it to the war they were built for. Some crashed. Some got canceled. Some flew beautifully and arrived too late to matter. Engineers pushed propeller technology to its limit while jets were already rendering the entire effort obsolete. The timing was brutal. The risks were real. And every single one of these prototypes taught the next generation of aircraft designers what worked and what killed people. If any of this stuck with you, like and subscribe. There's so much more buried in the archives that nobody talks about.